When most people think of Selinsgrove, we think of a tiny, sleepy little town. But there's a lot of different events in our town's history that prove this to not always be the case. One of these events took place in 1923 when our local resident Harvey Willow was found dead here near Apps Woods. Now he was found shot with a loaded shotgun laying next to him. The local papers described the scene in gruesome detail. He was unrecognizable. What happened here? Why did his simple squirrel hunting trip go wrong?
Fearing the gravity of the situation, local authorities called in the assistance of state police. Investigators revealed what they thought to be the truth behind this gruesome scene. They revealed that Ralph Shadle was the one who pulled the trigger on Mr. Willow. He was a 16-year-old farmhand who had been living with the Willows. However, they also revealed a twist. Annie Willow, Mr. Willow's wife, had played a pivotal role in encouraging Mr. Shadle to pull the trigger. But one thing that a lot of explanations miss is the role of an underlying factor within this crime, the role of the family image.
In order to understand what this means, we have to understand what life was like in early 20th century Pennsylvania. At this time, farming was an essential part of life, but it was not a job for one person. Community and neighbors would often help around the farm, but this meant that everybody knew everyone. And something that evolved in this environment was the concept of the ideal family. And the ideal family was important because you had to have an ideal family in order to maintain the respect of your neighbors, which surrounded you on all sides.
As these communities' images developed, so too did the cultural standards. Now, some could say that if flaws got exposed within these families, this would spawn an existential crisis. This would severely threaten their livelihood and social prestige. Another part of this image was the role of gender. Together, husband and wives were expected to come together and represent a family of traditional values, strength, and grit. But not everyone agreed with this image, especially not someone who's getting viciously beaten by their husband. This was the case for Annie Willow, the wife of the murdered Mr. Willow. Now, during her trial in 1924, she expressed how she was being beaten. She felt that their only way out was to get rid of him permanently. But why didn't she tell somebody? With such a tight-knit community, why was the opportunity not there for her to go to somebody else?
This was because Annie Willow needed to protect her image within the community. She could not simply go get help because she's being beaten, dissolve her marriage, and leave. That would have been effectively social suicide within the cultural standards of 20th century Pennsylvania. So she saw the only way out as being to murder her husband. This is really a tragedy, but it shows that beneath the surface of the ideal family within these rural farming communities, there was often very much more going on. And this was completely unearthed by this trial and this murder.